And a very good morning to you from the 2019 PGA Merchandise Show here in sunny Orlando. For most, this week is about the latest in apparel, equipment, or gadget guaranteed to take a couple strokes off the handicap. But for the H&B team, this week is about memories, specifically the ones that are set to be made in 2019. In between appointments with the members of our PGA Professionals Program, I sat down with some of our planning team to discuss what everyone's looking forward to in the year ahead. We hope you enjoy the listen. So here we are, day one of the PGA Merchandise Show here in Orlando. It's kind of the calm before the storm, and I'm joined by Julie Wellage, one of our expedition planning managers. Hey Julie, welcome.
Thanks for having me, DJ.
So you've been with H&B now how many years?
13 years.
How has the business changed in that time?
I think the biggest shift we've seen has been in the last 3 years with needing to book so much earlier to secure the key courses that you want to play. It used to be in years past that folks would watch the Open Championship in July, then get the bug to go across the pond. They'd call us the end of July, and we could book pretty much any course that they wanted at that point in time. But how the courses have decided to change in regards to opening their diaries for new bookings has really changed the game as to how early you need to plan this trip. For instance, for the year of 2020 travel, this coming March of 2019, we're going to be receiving our guaranteed tee times on the old course from the Links Trust. So that now means that somebody who wants to go the summer of 2020 needs to be talking to me in February or even earlier of 2019. And because the Links Trust has changed their format of how they allocate tee times, a lot of other courses have followed suit, and they're opening their diaries earlier as well. Muirfield's always opened earlier, but now Carnoustie's opening earlier, and Royal Troon is opening earlier, and we're even seeing it in Ireland as well. The world's #1 golf course, Royal County Down, opens normally May 1st, the year prior. And the key summer months that people want to travel normally sell out within 30 days. So if I have somebody wanting to do a 2020 trip with all the trophy courses, all the courses that have held the Open Championship, or all the highest ranked world's top 100s, we need to be speaking spring of the year prior to travel.
For the marquee names, St. Andrews, Royal County Down, Royal Port Rush, you're talking 18 months in advance. I'm not the best at planning in advance myself. For those of us who maybe have waited a little too late, is all hope lost? Or
absolutely not. And it's a conversation I have almost daily in my job, because there's not many other places that you need to travel that you need to plan more than a year out. So what we discuss with clients is when they call and they might be too late for St. Andrews and they thought that was going to be their dream trip, and they can't go across the pond and not go to St. Andrews the first time. Part of our job is to really open their eyes to all the wonderful courses there are across the pond, and how many trips it's actually going to take to go across the pond and play all the key courses. So, it can take 2 to 3 trips to each Scotland and to each Ireland to play all the great courses. So with a little bit of education and a little bit of opening clients' eyes, they realize that there are other great destinations if they've missed out on St. Andrews. They can go up and play Royal Dornoch, which is, besides the Old Course, Scotland's highest ranked course, and most people don't even realize that. And they can play Castle Stuart nearby. And then maybe you can still pair that with, if you want a couple of the British Open courses, maybe you can still pair that with Carnoustie and Turnberry. So you can still get a really neat mix of the top ranked courses that initially drew them to planning the trip. But we really love that because it really opens their eyes to places that are a little bit more off the beaten path, but are just as highly ranked as the open venues. And we hear them coming back time and time again of, they loved being able to see more of the country. They liked how diverse the courses were, both in design and topography. And they just feel like they really got a good taste and flavor for the country.
So going back to the whole 13, 14 years now, how has the makeup of your groups changed? And is it still the barnstorming buddy group that is, checking off as many courses as they can, or are things sort of evolving there too?
Oh, they're definitely evolving. And I would imagine no matter what industry you are in, you're seeing the effect of the baby boomers aging. And we certainly have seen that in our business, where now we're having somebody that might be on their second or their third trip, or maybe they're finally retiring and it's their first trip across the pond. But what we're seeing a trend is the pace of the trip is slowing down. It is not going across the pond 36 a day, golfing your brains out. You don't even know whether you're coming or going, and coming home needing a vacation from your vacation. It is now increasingly important that people really want to not only experience the golf courses, but the culture. And that's something we've always really been great at Haversham and Baker. Is for us, it was always way more than just a golf trip. For us, finding the right restaurants, suggesting a distillery after a round, taking entire days off to stop and smell the roses. That's always been what we're about. It's just funny to see the market really come to meet us stronger with where we are, and for us to really be able to showcase those offerings. So I'm seeing many, many more itineraries that are 3 days of golf, 1 day off. Maybe they're traveling from one destination to another, and we're packing some great touring in that day. And then maybe 3 more rounds, and then they go home. I'm also seeing an increase in couples trips, where maybe the gentleman's traveled a whole bunch with his guys and his wife raises the hand and say, hey, what about me? And we might do for those trips 2 days of golf and 1 day off, and all the couples tour together. And we set an itinerary for the ladies that don't play golf for touring for them, to keep them busy while the gentlemen are on the course.
For those couples trips, what are the main destinations and courses and so forth that are hit there?
For Scotland, the best destinations for couples would be the Inverness and Dornoch area, St. Andrews and Edinburgh. Those are by far the best areas that offer loads to do both on and off the fairway. For Ireland, it's become interesting because we thought it used to just be Southwest Ireland, but a lot of the development that I've been doing in Belfast lately has really brought that area onto the map, and it's become an extremely strong touring area. Depending on the dynamic of the couples, you can probably go just about anywhere in Ireland, but Southwest probably still remains to be the largest draw, followed by Belfast and Dublin.
Each year, Major Haversham deploys us across to have a look in on things, and you were recently over in England on the Channel Coast and London. Tell me a little about it.
It was an exciting trip for me because I don't believe that there's a more dynamic product that we offer than spending about 8 nights, if you're going to do it right and hit all the key courses, of splitting your time between the Channel Coast and the Heathland courses that are surrounding London and more suburban London. And the reason I say it's so interesting is it's almost like a 2-for-1 trip. When you go on the Channel Coast and you have Royal St. George's and Prince's and Royal Cinque Ports and Rye, you get those really fun, linksy, rough, unruly courses that are right on the water, very dramatic. And then you move further inland and you get these Heathland courses. So you've got what appears to be more of a Parkland style golf course, but with the sandy soil base. So it still plays like links, but you think of more of a setting of perhaps a Pinehurst, with each hole wooded and cut through thick forest. Just unbelievable, amazing designs. Each one different than the next, but the caliber just off the charts. And the neatest thing I think about this destination is I believe that they haven't had quite as much tourism over the years, golf tourism, as Ireland and Scotland has. So the welcomes you receive at these courses is so very different. I think that sometimes the English clubs can get the reputation for being a bit snooty, but it's very much a misconceived notion. Never were there more welcoming people, and I think the people that make it to England are very serious about golf, and the English clubs and members know that, and they love their tradition, they love their pageantry. The clubhouses alone, you could spend hours just walking through. So for the golf enthusiast that's done all the Scotland or Ireland, England should be on the bucket list, but quite frankly, it should be moved up on the bucket list for a lot of people.
Every year at the show, we do a lot of these interviews, both with the H&B team and our partners, as well as the members of our PGA Professionals Program. I'm asking everyone the same question this year to cap it off. The Open Championship returns to Royal Port Rush this year for the first time in 68 years. It is long overdue. Who do you think takes home the claret jug?
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, I think I have to pick Jordan Spieth, just because he's our family favorite. My son Jason has a pin flag that I had someone bring home from the Birkdale Open Championship for us, and he waited in line at Bellerive forever to get Jordan's signature, and he was nice enough to do it. So I would love Jordan to take it home.
Well, truly great stuff, Julie. Thanks for taking the time. You've got a pretty full appointment book here the next few days, so I better let you run.
Thanks for having me, DJ.
Cheers. So day 2 of the PGA Merchandise Show. We're joined by Mike Walters. Mike, thanks for taking the time, man.
Anytime, DJ. Always good talking golf.
It's been a busy couple days. How has the show been so far?
Always great to be down in Orlando for various reasons, but especially to see our professional staff. We don't get to see them nearly as often as we'd like, and sometimes it's the first time ever, where we've only talked over the phone or traded emails. So it's just great to put a name with a face, especially for them, knowing who they're dealing with, and being a former golf professional is always a great place to network and catch up with guys that you really like seeing and being with. So.
You were recently across to Ireland, as all of us make a trip, pretty regularly to have a look in on things and so forth. Tell me a little about your trip, and let's start at Lahinch, host of this year's Irish Open.
I'm glad you started with Lahinch in the conversation, because Lahinch is outstanding. I feel like it's got the greatest set of par 4s in Ireland, maybe in the British Isles. They're the sternest, they require the most, I'd say the best shot making, and they're all a variety of lengths, but if you get the wrong or the prevailing wind, they are a bear. And some of the holes that were originally built are still there, and I can't wait to see how those guys play. Fabulous plays.
Well, let's talk about those. So one of which is the Dell hole, pretty world famous par 3. Describe it for those who may be unfamiliar, and how do you think they're going to play it?
As American players, we are not used to blind par 3s. The first time I ever saw a blind par 3 was in Scotland. It was at Cruden Bay, and I didn't know how to handle it. You really have to rely on your caddy, and that's what these guys are going to have to do. When you add all the elements and the fact that it's a blind hole, there is nowhere to miss. Long is one of the most difficult pitches you'll have. Short is a fall off. Left and right, they do funnel to the green, but the rough is high, and it is very difficult to a green that just doesn't like to receive the golf ball. So you must be precise as you must be over most of the links, but it's just a great hole, and it's very exciting to see how those guys will do. Not a super long one from the tips, but one that will test the ball striking and accuracy, and in any kind of crosswind, it is a brute.
So if we take a ride north, there's another little event coming to Royal Portrush this year as the Open Championship returns for first time in 70 years almost. Your impressions of the Dunlos Links after it's emerged from its preparations?
Sometimes we're fortunate enough in this game and in doing what we do, when you pull into certain facilities and certain sites, you've arrived someplace special. Royal Portrush is one of those places. From the time that you step out of the car park and go into the clubhouse and you're greeted with the history of the game and the great players that have been members of this club, and now to have the greatest event in golf coming to that home club, it makes us say it's about time, and the golf course matches everything about what you expect an Open to bring, as far as the test involved, the elements to be faced, the shot values of the golf course will be second to none. Every club in the bag will be tested, from the difficult new holes, which look outstanding, to the classics that have been there since the beginning. So it's just a special place, and well-deserved to have the Open come back.
What did you hit on Calamity?
It was blowing into us and from the left. And if you remember the right-hand side of that green, there's no such thing. It's a sheer fall off. I believe I hit a hard 4-iron that I soared up into the wind and went down into the chasm and made bogey. which I was actually fortunate enough to make both. Usually when the ball goes down there, there are 5s and 6s can be made. So I was actually fortunate enough to make 4 and run to the next.
Well, if they put the back tee in play, I think it plays all of like 268 or something crazy like that.
In the wrong wind, with the wrong player, there are certain guys in the field that will have a problem getting there, especially the wind in which we played it. Even the guys on tour will have to hit 3-woods, maybe hybrids for the longer players, and certain guys may have drivers. It is that long, and that breeze was so difficult.
For somebody who watches Royal Portrush for the first time, who's unfamiliar with the course and is going to get introduced, where else would they play on a trip that heads there?
Some of the fun of putting trips up in Northern Ireland is they get to discover so many new and wonderful places on and off the course. A neighbor to Royal Portrush, besides the Valley course that is actually at Portrush, is a great destination for guys that want to play in. Maybe get some licks in before they go and tackle the Dunluce, so the Valley course is an excellent option. 10 to 15 minutes to the west is Port Stewart, which hosted the 2017 Irish Open, and John Rahm won that. If you were able to watch a telecast or listen to the tour professionals after leaving Port Stewart, they were raving about Port Stewart. The Strand course, just an excellent test. One of the clubs that's just a little farther to the west is called Castle Rock, just finished some major renovations and have open to rave reviews and some stunning views, so another great option. Working your way to the northwest, going back into the Republic, the host of the 2018 Open, Ballyliffin, has really captured the imagination of a lot of our club trips, because they actually will put members matches together where a club professional and his members, or just a group of members, can go over, play a friendly match with the members of Ballyliffin, have a nice dinner afterwards and share some stories, and that has really become a great place and has really kind of popped off the map. And the best ambassadors for those things are those that have done it, so they can share A, how great the facility is, and B, how great the members are.
Well, we recently chatted with John Farron, the general manager at Ballyliffin, and you called the matches friendly, and they are no doubt friendly, but the competition, as I understand it, is anything but.
They don't, let's just face it, just like members at your own private club, they don't like to lose. And I remember captaining my own teams when I was a professional in the business, and you don't like them to lose either. So the stories are great, the competition is fierce, but it's always fun.
Great stuff. Yesterday, our colleague Julie Welledge and I sat down and did the same thing, and we talked about sort of the need to book early, when you should start putting together the plans for your trip across the pond. We touched on the southwest and the north part of the island. Somebody wanting to head there, when should they start planning their trip?
It varies, DJ, from site to site. But in dealing first with our friends in the north, when you're talking about Northern Ireland, flexibility is the key. But also plan on the fact that you want to get ahead of the game about 18 months ahead of time. Because of the popularity of the #1 course in the world, it often dictates us to get those starting times first for our clients. Whereas some of the other diaries may make some of our travelers impatient because they cannot wait to see how the rest of the trip unfolds. Royal County Down, because of its popularity, really has us get ahead of the game in order to lock down the starting times that our groups need and want on that trip. And because the busiest times in Northern Ireland, and Ireland as well, and Scotland for that matter, are August and September, those are the times that go the quickest. So, and then the times kind of dwindle going outward in both directions, but especially through the summer. So it really requires us to get ahead of the game, and our travelers to be prepared for that, so that they can book and get what they want. The other diaries open up a little later as the year goes on, so you can almost see the trip unfold And some of my favorite emails to send are when those other starting times start coming back to us, when the guys start getting really excited saying, okay, gents, we just got Royal Portrush, we just got Port Stewart. And you can see those emails going, yes, all right, you know, and as that trip tends to take shape and form, and how it frames itself, and these just wonderful links courses come together. In the Southwest, Old Head tends to book the quickest because of the popularity of, let's face it, the fantastic views that you see all day long when you're on that beautiful place. That tends to be the most popular for most of our travelers. They have to have it. So do all the other people that want to go to the south of Ireland. So you just remember that planning is key, flexibility is key. Don't be afraid to get ahead. Their diary may not be open, but be prepared if you want to dictate when and where to plan ahead and plan accordingly.
Well, I asked Julie yesterday the same question I'm going to ask you. With the Open heading back to Royal Portrush, who do you think takes home the Claret Jug?
That's always an interesting question, and I don't think I was close last year when we discussed Carnoustie, but I think an American is going to take home the Claret Jug this year. I think what's going to happen this year is that the media has really harped and made it difficult on one of our younger American players by the name of Jordan Spieth, who has really worked hard on his game. He's probably one of the best iron players in the game, and I think he will hoist his first Claret Jug and complete a second Claret Jug, pardon me, and will win at Royal Portrush this year.
So what I'm hearing is that because both you and Julie selected Jordan, that I need to pick somebody else in the office.
I would probably do so. You would probably take the field in this instance, yeah. Whoever wins will be a great ball striker, I think for sure. And I just cannot wait to see who comes through that test unscathed. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great stuff. Mike, thanks for everything you do, making memories that last a lifetime for our members of the forces, and we'll let you get to your next appointment. Looks like somebody's over there waiting. So.
Great, thanks DJ. It's a labor of love, that's for sure.
Cheers, Mike.
Thanks, buddy.
And a special thanks to Julie and Mike for taking time out of their jam-packed PGA Show schedule to share their insight. Thank you as always for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll see you next time, but until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.